Hi guys, welcome to a new video documentary. So let's start with a question so you know what our topic will be. Did you know the difference between learning a foreign language and knowing another culture in the Colombian context and in other country like Canada? Here we are to tell you about some differences that are somehow interesting between these countries in terms of language learning. Today, it is evident that mastering a single language is not enough in an interconnected world. The ability to be bilingual or multilingual is increasingly necessary for study, work, and coexistence. According to the Minister of Education, Colombia has a long tradition of including foreign language in the school curriculum, language such as French, German, and Italian, in addition to English. It is considered important that the graduates of Colombian schools develop a pluralistic vision of the world so that they are open to new ideas and have contact with different forms of thought and expression. The idea is that this recognition of the linguistic and cultural diversity in our world can lead to the recognition of the importance of tolerance and respect for the other. However, in reality, particularly in recent years, when talking about bilingualism or bilingual education, the central focus is on one language in particular, English. As a result of globalization and the widespread use of English throughout the world, the term bilingualism has taken on a different meaning in the Colombian context. It is used by many to refer almost exclusively to English-Spanish bilingualism. Now the focus on Spanish-English bilingualism predominates, and the other dimension of multilingualism and cultural difference in Colombia are ignored. The existence of other language, for example French, has also undermined by the spread of English and people's growing desire to invest in English. But the Colombian context goes further, and it has not been possible to reach that level of including more language in the curriculum because English is hardly enough. There are even people who cannot study English, or when a person knows English, the other says, tell me something in English, or wow, you know English, because even learning English is complicated, because it would be much more complicated to access to learn other languages. Since even limitations such as cost, lack of access to government subsidies, or phrases from people who I'm sure you have heard at some point in your life, people who told you things like, I'm not good enough at learning languages, or I don't have time, or also I don't travel to English-speaking countries, or nobody in my family speaks English. They are considered barriers to starting a process of learning a foreign language. There are even some people who associate learning languages with a better quality of life because that is how it shows us in our country Colombia, in our Colombian context. In order to advance, the first step is to admit our current state. Teachers, school secretaries of education, majors must be able to identify their current situation and propose two work approaches: remedial, to improve the level of education taking into account two fundamental elements in teacher, language and pedagogy. The other approach is more prescriptive. The training programs for future teachers must meet quality levels and be ready to be measured with instruments such as those proposed by the evaluation of the quality of higher education in Colombia. After all, the production of standards is important because it makes it possible to indicate what is to be achieved. The standards are challenging by nature and be measuring achievement against them, it clearly identified where we need to improve. This is how improvement plans are formulated and a quality circle in complemented in which teacher training is immersed. Finally, another additional aspect to that proposed by the Minister of Education is that consolidation of professional groups or academic works need works. And if this is not achieved, this is why many people seek to do an exchange to go to other countries to improve their English or other language.
Canada has one of the highest quality educational systems in the world. It has been among the best training options for many years, offering numerous opportunities for professional and personal development. More than 90% of Canadian children learn in the public education system, but the specifics of what they learn and how their staff differentiate depending on where in Canada they live. Today we will focus on learning a foreign language in the province of Ontario. It's the most populous province in Canada, and its school system is led by Ontario's Ministry of Education. Publicly funded education is offered from kindergarten to grade 12. Kindergarten in Ontario is full-time and is optional for children 4 to 6 years old. All students are required to study French from grades 4 to 8 and have at least one French credit to graduate from secondary school. This is because French and English are both the official languages of Canada, and while Ontario's official language is only English, Ontario's history with various French-speaking settlements and communities means French language skills are widespread. However, according to several studies, young people at the end of grade 12 do not have the intermediate level of French that they are expected to have, since that language is taught as a second language from primary school. In fact, children start learning two languages, English and French, from a very young age. So learning another language such as Spanish becomes easier for them over time. On the other hand, in some schools in Ontario, the teaching of foreign language is not mandatory. This means that each student is free to choose this subject within their school year. But unlike Colombia, where the foreign language is sometimes only English, Canada offers students different options to learn, such as obviously Spanish, German, Chinese, Russian, Portuguese, and so on. But there is still more. Some public and private schools offer completely language immersion programs, which students have free access to and can take these programs as part of their summer vacation. The way of learning in Canada is also based on a very important basic pillar: practice and active participation. Contrary of Colombia, learning in the Canadian educational system places great importance of the active participation of students during classes. Interaction with teachers and classmates is essential. Regardless of the differences, the Canadian public school system provides access to education for every child, no matter where they live in Canada. This dedication to education is a part of what makes Canada one of the most educated countries in the world, and why so many Canadians continue on to higher education after completing public secondary school.
Canada is a country that has welcomed different peoples and cultures throughout its history, which is why it has several official languages and is institutionally a bilingual country. The two languages that make Canada a bilingual country are English and French, which are taught in school and are the vehicular language in politics and society. This bilingualism is complex, since it does not mean that both languages are perfectly spoken by all Canadians and in all areas. Canada is one of the largest countries in the world and is made up of 10 provinces with different laws and cultures, which means that bilingualism is not uniform throughout the nation. In practice, all provinces offer services in both languages, French and English being subject in high school in both Quebec and Ontario. Canadians have mixed feelings regarding bilingualism. Many of them are in favor of handling both languages for better job opportunities and to have something in common with Europe that differentiates them from the United States, since they consider that French culture has had the same impact of the country as the English one. On the other hand, another part of the population considers that learning French is a waste of time, since English is the language that is officially used throughout the world, and that if they were a bilingual nation, they will choose languages such as Spanish or Chinese that are most useful in the world of the world. Language is not a code or an instrument, nor it is a connected instance structured around a simple action. The language brings together summons or divides its speaker, native or not, is configured the construction of identity, becoming even a viable terrain, more real even than citizenship of the Union to a specific territory. Although for the vast majority of Colombians Spanish is the only language, the linguistic reality of the country is a little more complex. In addition to Spanish, there are indigenous languages spoken in 22 of the 32 departments of Colombia. Colombia is one of the Latin American countries with the worst level of English. An alarming result if one takes into account that English is the official language in a third of the planet and the most widely used in the world in general. English is the language of the internet, information, science, aviation, computing, diplomacy, and tourism, among others. In other words, today not knowing English is in a country as unequal as ours open the inequality gap even more. But it's not only about the obvious advantage that knowing English brings, such as access to the world and better job and academic opportunities. It is also about the hidden advantage that a bilingual education brings. That's it. No one provides the ability to use more of a language. Our opinion is that it is important to unite efforts and change mentalities in Colombia, so that the Ministry of Education builds on these strengths, enriching itself with contributions for foreign vision such as the Common European Framework, as long as adapts to the reality of the Colombian context, broadening the learning different language without being so expensive, free for all people to access, and for them to see that learning language help us to develop us more in such an interconnected world. Es importante, ¿no? Es porque no hacen abreviaciones, los odio cuando hacen abreviaciones. And French, which perro loco.